It was about 6 or 7 years ago now where I just hit a wall. I just came out of the blue where I just felt like I couldn't go on, couldn't survive doing what I was doing. And I've spent a lot of time trying to understand what that was like, and I've had cognitive behaviour therapy, I've seen some specialists in mental health, and I also see somebody that does a bit of life tutoring for me as well. It wasn't work generated, but because, and I've said this before, we spend so much time in work, it came out in work, if you like. It was all part of that melee of noise and distraction, really. And I've been leading a pretty tough area in children's services, and for me, the way I describe it is the glass that I had would fill up regularly, and through the love of my family, my wife and my kids and my friends and my work colleagues, and my interests like sport, I was able to sort of take the lid off the glass a bit, and reduce the flow. And for some reason, in this September when it happened to me, I just couldn't stop it overflowing. So now I take medication every day, and I just manage it and try and be really self-aware of my impact. And I would hope, because of my experience and my mental health journey and my well-being journey, I'm more sensitive to my size 10s and the impact I make on my colleagues. And I remember the day I stood on the stage in Solihull and said, I've suffered from mental health. I've been to that period of time, that edge, if you like, and all of that. And I didn't pre-plan it, I didn't rehearse it. I just felt, no, this needs saying, because I was talking to our managers and they were saying, look, life's tough, this is really, really hard. And it was about, I think, me having the confidence in myself and the people I have the privilege to work with and lead to say, I understand, and it's a bit of my story. So we are bringing forward in our organisation, through an employee journey, support for mental health, support through the Thrive programme. Many of us are trained as mental health first aiders now, and it's bringing it to the front. There isn't a cure necessarily, but there is a conversation to be had. There are, I think, particular demographic issues that are now coming forward for the people that I work with, and I think that adds pressure on top of, let's be frank, working in public service is demanding. It should be demanding, because we are impacting, influencing, changing, supporting people's lives. It's not easy work, but I think that's an added focus. I think where I see now a lot of my colleagues saying, Nick, hands up, I need a bit of time here to look after me mum, look after me dad, and I get that constantly. So I think it is changing the way we approach work and being far more flexible, and being listening, being in that listening mode, and trying to say, well, on an individual case as well as on a workforce basis, how can we support you? And actually, I will say, I see that as well within our accountability as chief execs in local government with elected members. My elected members and elected members across the West Midlands, who I see a lot of through our combined authority and our LEP and other things, they're brilliant. They are absolutely brilliant. Don't always agree with all the other elected members, but actually, to a person, they are really supportive of us as their officers, as their senior officers. And there is an empathy there. It's a challenge, but there is an empathy. So that political dimension and how we talk to our bosses and our accountability is equally important. Just find somebody or you can talk to, and it can be somebody who you love and loves you, or it can be somebody in work. When I first hit that wall, I remember speaking to somebody in work, and he's now running a council somewhere else in the country, and he was lovely with me, because I was still trying to work out how I speak to my wife and children about how I feel. So you just find that person and have that confidence to talk to them. But the key thing is talk. Don't let it reach a point where your glass, or whichever analogy you want to use, overflows and you lose control, because that's just so destructive, and it takes a long time to come back from that. And it's that flexibility, isn't it, with yourself. Nurture yourself, look after yourself. There's only one of us,